Now we're going to talk about the blood flow to and from the arm. So this is going to start in the subclavian artery, which is going to travel under the clavicle. And after it passes over the first rib here, it changes its name to the axillary artery. Axillary means armpit, and you can see that it goes through the armpit here. Make sure that you distinguish axillary from axial, okay? Axial meaning like the center or an axis, okay? That's a totally different word than axillary or axilla meaning armpit. So don't get those two confused. Spelling is very important on those. All right, so subclavian becomes the axillary. Axillary, after it passes the teres major muscle, so right where the arm separates from the body, it becomes the brachial artery. Now these names actually change after some of these other arteries branch off. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to talk about these, the rib, the teres major muscle, as our distinguishing places. So subclavian, axillary, brachial artery, this is going to travel down the humerus. And then the brachial artery at the cubital fossa is going to separate into two arteries. One runs down the lateral side and is the radial artery. The other runs down the medial side and is the ulnar artery. Oh my gosh, one runs down the radius, one goes down the ulna. Aren't you glad you learned those bones, right? Okay, notice that those then create an anastomosis in the hand. This is called the palmar arch. There's actually a superficial and a deep palmar arch, so two anastomoses, to make sure that you have really good blood flow through the hand. So if either of these arteries are blocked, you still have blood flow through the hand, just like the anastomosis in the brain. Okay, so two anastomoses in the palm, and then the digital arteries supply blood to the fingers, again, to make sure you have plenty of blood flow to the fingers. Now, the venous flow back up through the arm to the superior vena cava is a little different. And we're going to see this a lot in the body where the venous circulation is slightly different. So on the hand, we have a dorsal venous network and a ventral or palmar venous network. The dorsal is going to flow into basilic veins, a basilic vein and a cephalic vein. And these are indicated as these light purple veins here. These are superficial. The darker blue veins are deep. Those are the radial and ulnar. The cephalic vein runs along the lateral side. The basilic vein runs along the medial or basal side of the arm. So if you stick your arms out to the side, straight out from the shoulder, like if you abduct your arm, your basilic vein is on the basal side of the arm. Now, why cephalic? It's not close to the head. No, and I'm not actually sure why they called it the cephalic vein. I mean, it is, yeah, closer to the head, sort of, but you can put it on your head. So if you abduct your arm all the way and then flex your elbow, you can put your cephalic vein on the top of your head. So that's how you're going to remember cephalic vein. All right, so those are those two. There's also the median cubital vein, which connects the cephalic and the basilic vein. And it just runs across this cubital area at your elbow. And this is the one that they usually use for taking blood, either if you donate blood for taking a pint, or if you just have to have a blood test. They usually take it from the median cubital vein. Notice median, meaning that it goes across the middle, not medial. Okay, so make sure you get the spelling of that correct. Median cubital vein. So cephalic vein, basilic vein, median cubital, these are all superficial veins. Now the deep veins are going to drain from the palmar venous arches, which are deeper on the hand, and these are going to drain into 2 radial veins and 2 ulnar veins. Why so extra? Honestly, I don't know, but it's really common where we have more venous vessels than arterial vessels. The radial veins and the ulnar veins travel up the radius and the ulna, and then they both fuse together. 2 radials fuse into one, the 2 ulnars fuse into one, and both of those are called brachial veins. That happens at, in that cubital fossa. The 2 brachial veins then travel up the humerus and fuse together into a single brachial vein, which fuses with the basilic vein. So notice the basilic vein goes all the way up the medial side of the arm, all the way into the armpit. The brachial veins here and here go up either side of the humerus, fuse together into one brachial vein that then fuses with that basilic vein to become the axillary vein. The cephalic vein also runs all the way up the lateral side of the arm, and after the brachial veins merge, they form the axillary. After the cephalic vein fuses with the axillary vein, it then becomes the subclavian vein, and it goes, look, under the clavicle. So here's all of that together. The axillary veins on either side, remember this circulation is going to be the same on both sides. The right subclavian vein, the left subclavian vein, and then here are the internal jugular veins, which create the brachiocephalic veins here on the right and left, and then the 2 brachiocephalic veins fuse to create the superior vena cava there. Okay, so we already did this part, we're just adding in this part from the arm. We have one other thing that fuses with the brachiocephalic veins to create the superior vena cava, and that's this azygous vein, which should be on your study guide, but isn't. It drains the skin and the muscles of the thoracic cavity, okay? And then the bottom part of it is also going to drain a bunch of structures from the abdominal cavity, mostly the skin and muscles. So all those together create the superior vena cava. All right, we're going to pause there, and then we're going to do the circulation through the abdominal cavity.